Like I said, we would come back and walk through how the process works. So the testers may use Kismet, for example, which is going to identify access points that attempt to cloak or even hide their SSIDs, right? And so you or the attacker, right, depending on which role you're playing, you're just going to simply drive around, and you've got this WNIC, this wireless NIC. You've got an antenna and some software that scans for SSIDs. And all of the wireless NICs are capable of being susceptible to this scanning software. So most scanning software detects the company's SSIDs, the type of security enabled, the security strength, which will indicate how close the access point is to the attacker. So any 802.11 connection not using WPA2 should be considered, yes, stomp this note, inadequately secured if you're not using WPA2. Now, I threw on, and we kind of discussed this here in a few slides, but I just wanted to summarize wireless networking vulnerabilities for us as security testers, including data emanations, jamming and interference, packet sniffing, war driving. I highlighted that because we just talked about it. War chalking, which is similar but different. SSID broadcasting. Pause and read through these definitions, make sure you understand them. Also, a WPS attack, a replay attacks, rogue access attacks, evil twin, and weak encryption. These are the vulnerabilities in a wireless world that you should be concerned with. Please pause the tape, read through these definitions. We're going to talk through many of these in detail in a moment. I just wanted to give you a summary. Now, you could use VisTumbler. VisTumbler is a freeware tool that enables you to detect a wireless LAN. All you have to do is go to HTTPS and that's ://www.vistumbler.net to get that. And it's designed to assist security testers in identifying these wireless LANs, as I just said, and then detecting other wireless networks that might interfere with the wireless LAN and detecting unauthorized access points. It's also used by the hackers while driving, but remember that in most parts of the world, using someone's network without permission, as we've discussed, is illegal. So this law includes using someone's internet connection without his or her knowledge or permission. And there is a picture of the VisTumbler settings. So when the program identifies an access point signal, it actually is going to log the SSID and the MAC address of the access point and the manufacturer of the access point, the channel, the strength we've talked about, and whether encryption is enabled, but not a specific type of encryption necessarily. So when testing for network vulnerabilities, don't neglect checking for vulnerabilities in any of the wireless LANs that the company has set up, right? Wi-Fi is a free, you can find free Wi-Fi scanners similar to VisTumbler as well. So again, this is the things that I just kind of mentioned this on the last slide, but these are the things that you can identify that it's going to be logged in VisTumbler. So it's powerful. There's no doubt about it. Now, Kismet, as I mentioned before, that's another product for conducting war driving attacks. And you can find more about that on www.kismetwireless.net. And that's one word, kismetwireless.net. Again, the product is free, runs on Linux, etc. The software is advertised as being more than just a wireless network detector. Kismet is also a sniffer. It's an IDS. It's a passive scanner, and can be used, again, like I said, for war driving, but it can also be used to detect rogue APs, which is one of the threats you are about determining, a rogue AP on a company's network. And now Kismet features are listed here, many of which we've discussed. So pause and review that at your leisure. So it's important then to understand wireless hacking. So hacking a wireless network is not much really different than hacking a wired LAN. So everything we have been learning in this course up till now can be applied in the wireless world, right? And common techniques include port scanning and the various enumeration tools that we have addressed, right? These the tools of the trade of a wireless hacker, though, include the equipment like the laptop and the wireless network card, the NIC card, the antenna, the sniffers, and tools for encrypting web keys include air cracking and Wi-Fi pineapple we'll look at next. Air cracking is what prompted organizations to replace WEP with WPA as their authentication method. And of course, now you know we're on WPA2 using AES encryption. So as a security professional, your job is to protect a network and make it difficult for the attackers to break in. Air cracking is the tool most hackers use to access WEP-enabled wireless LAN. So if the company you're visiting is using WEP, that would be one of your recommendations. And here is a form of the Wi-Fi cracker interface. Now, countermeasures for wireless attacks, like using certificates on all wireless devices, these can sometimes be considered time-consuming and costly. If your approach to securing a wireless LAN for a company, you should you would use something similar to the wired LAN, right? And you'll have a better chance of protecting data from being corrupted and protecting network resources, right? So consider anti-war driving software, right? This makes it more difficult to discover your wireless LANs. You might consider using a honeypot to draw them in, or use a fake access point, right? Ha ha, gotcha, suckers. So I love those approaches. And these would be some of the recommendations we make as security professionals. We want to use measures for preventing radio waves from leaving the building, right? You can do special paint on the walls, but you can even do it simpler than that. You can make sure that the access point is centered in a facility and that it has just enough power. You can adjust the power up and down to make sure the signal isn't bleeding outside the building any significant distance, right? So that just the people inside your structure. Hence, it ties into physical security. Somebody went through security, had to show an ID badge, etc. So, continuing with countermeasures, you should consider using an authentication server like a radius server or a diameter server or TACACS, right? Instead of relying on the wireless device. You can consider using EAP, right? The extensible protocol that encapsulates the transmissions between the client and the access point. This allows, it's great that it allows various protocols to enhance security. PAP, CHAP, TLS, etc., right? PKI, using PKI certificates. And we want to place access points in a demilitarized zone and use a firewall to filter out the traffic. Even using access control lists like the MAC devices that should be allowed to connect to this access point. So if possible, you always want to upgrade to WPA2 and replace hardware that can't be upgraded. That really is better security. Now, You also want to assign static IP addresses to wireless clients instead of using DHCP as a means of filtering. You want to disable WPS. This is going to remove known WPS attack vectors. And of course, you know, I don't really like that approach that doesn't require, that is that easy access without a password authentication. And you want to change your default SSID. Remember, we said by company, I can tell you what their default SSIDs are. So you want to change the default SSIDs and disable SSID broadcast. If you can't disable the broadcast, rename it. That's what I do at home. That pretty much wraps up chapter 11 for us. This was an exciting week. It's a lot of material. That's why we're going to keep the assignment discussion simple so that you can digest all of this and add to your risk register. Next will be chapter 12, cryptography, which is, to me, very, very exciting. Most of you already have experience on this, but that's about protecting the data as it traverses the internet while it's stored, or while it's stored on the computer, and using these cryptographic technologies that are going to, we protect companies' data by converting it into an unreadable format unless you're the one that is supposed to read it. Exciting. I love it. Okay, enjoyed my time with you guys. I will see you online, and call right. Keep the cards and letters coming.